I'm gonna go from this to this. Hi, welcome to my channel. Today. I don't know how to do it, dude. Okay, ready?
Yep.
No, I messed up. I couldn't. I'm gonna die. So first I'm gonna go in with the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and I'm just gonna go in with any kind of brown that you see that you can use to define your crease. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with these two right here, and then I'm just gonna sloppily put it in my crease. With this, it doesn't have to be perfect because in the end you're gonna clean it up anyway. And you can drag it out so that that way, when you're finished, there's more of a gradient look instead of any harsh line. Usually when you're doing something smoky, you wanna pull it past your brow with the lightest color, and then as you go in, you go darker. And what I do is I just keep building it. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go in with another Morphe brush. This one is the M573, and I'm gonna go in with a darker color deeper into my crease. And instead of swiping, I'm gonna push to avoid any harsh lines. To also avoid it being harsh, you can work with less product too. And then I'm gonna take the same brush that I started with, and I'm just gonna pull these two colors together. And as I pull, I'm just gonna smoke it out. What I also like to do is I like to take any clean, fluffy brush, and I'll start where I put the deeper color, and I'll also pull that out. So I'm just gonna go in and keep deepening it with the same brown color that I went in with. So now that that's done, I'm gonna go in with this green color in the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and I'm gonna start putting that near my lash line, and then I'm gonna pull upward to avoid getting too much product in my crease, which would then make it too hard to blend out. You really want to push it in so that way there's no separation between your lash line and the shadow. So now that I have it mostly compacted right here, I'm going to start pulling upward into the crease. This lid doesn't have to be perfect because I'm also going to go in with the shimmery green color on top of it. So I mostly just focus where the green meets the darker brown. A lot of the times you can also mix the lid color with your crease color to sort of make a medium that would go good in the crease too. But what I like to do is just keep working with small amounts of product and then blend them together. So now I'm just gonna put this in with the crease. So since I like to keep my foundation super matte, I'm gonna go in with a shimmery color just to add dimension to the eye. So I'm gonna go in with this green color that's right next to the matte color. And instead of just going onto the eye after picking it up on the brush, I'm gonna spray it with Fix Plus, because that kind of makes it last longer and makes it appear brighter on the eye. I'm just gonna go in and messily put that on top. Sometimes if you use a matte foundation and a really matte eye, it can cause you to just look really dull and flat. So then on my MAC 217 brush, I'm gonna take that same brown that I started off with, and I'm just gonna run that underneath my eye and connect it. I'll end up cleaning this up with my foundation anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I will take the same shader brush that I used for that green, and I'm gonna run that under my eye as well. That way you see the same gradient that you see going from here to the green underneath your eye. And then I'm just gonna take any light color that you can find in any palette, and I'm gonna use that to highlight the inner corner of my eye. So I went ahead and applied my lashes off camera because it's not something that I do a lot, but I used the Lauder Nicole Guerrero collaboration ones. I like to keep them really lightweight just because I don't like how they feel. on my eyes, and then I'm gonna go in and just put mascara on my bottom lash line. So now I'm gonna go into my face, and I'm gonna go in with the Estée Lauder Smoothing Primer. This really mattifies my face because I have a lot of texture and I have acne prone skin. So what I do is I focus it on my T-zone to cover up pores. And that's also where I lose a lot of makeup throughout the day. And then I gradually just pull it out. I don't really prime these areas of my face because I don't ever lose makeup there. I do my chin, and then I do my forehead as well. I have a lot of texture along here, and instead of swiping it across, I just push it in. The foundation I'm going to be using is the Estée Lauder Double Wear Foundation, and this goes really good on top of this primer. It's really thick and mattifying, so you don't have to use a lot. And instead of using a beauty blender, I usually go in with my Morphe M439 brush, because if you use a beauty blender a lot of the times, it'll just pick it up and then it'll absorb and run your blender. So what I do is I start on one side of my face, and instead of using swiping motions, I just push it in onto my ears and onto my neck. I also don't put this underneath my eyes because that's where I have a lot of creasing. So I avoid putting anything under there except for my concealer, because my concealer is pretty full coverage as well. You don't want to forget to do your neck, because when you use a really full coverage foundation, it can make your face look like a mask. So now that I have this evenly dispersed on my face, I'm going to go in with Tarte Shape Tape in Light Neutral. I like to focus this down the sides of my nose and underneath my eyes, but I don't go all the way up because this is super full coverage and it creases. So I use a different concealer that's a little bit brighter underneath my eyes also. This will also clean up where I drug that shadow down, and it'll add extra coverage around here where I have breakouts. This is a Morphe E8 brush. I also use the excess on this to highlight my chin, the bridge of my nose, and my forehead. So to highlight, I'm gonna use the Age Rewind Eraser from Maybelline. And this is a little bit thinner than the Tarte Shape Tape, and it's a little bit lighter. That way, it doesn't crease as much. And I'm just gonna clean up the shadow using the ball. So now that I have that set, I'm gonna go in with the RCMA No Color Powder, and I'm gonna use that to set my under eyes. I use a little bit more than usual because I'm gonna use this to blend out the harsh line that I created with the Maybelline concealer. The only place I set is my T-zone also, because that's, like I said, where I lose a lot of my makeup throughout the day, especially if it's hot. So I'm just gonna take a clean fluffy brush and I'm gonna run it along this line right here with the translucent powder. And so since I got green on that brush, I'm just gonna do the same thing with the cleaner one out here so that I don't drag it out with it. You can see that it kind of created a harsh line right here. So I'm just gonna pull with the powder. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush and I'm gonna wipe off all that excess powder that I have on my face. And what you can do is you can pull it down onto your cheek so that you have a smoother canvas to work with when you apply your bronzer. If you have naturally dry skin, you want to avoid using a lot of powders because that will cling to your dry patches and only make it look worse. My skin's really combination, so from day to day I don't really know what I'm gonna get. So some days I use more powder than others. So now I'm gonna go in with the Benefit Blush Bar. And this comes with Hoola bronzer that I use to contour, and then it comes with just 4 blush shades. And I'm gonna take the Hoola bronzer on an R10 brush by Morphe, and I'm going to carve out my cheek. When I contour my face, I like to push my product into the skin instead of swiping because that also avoids harsh lines on your face. You don't want to bring your contour in past the arch of your eyebrow because then that can make you look too sucked in, and it can also look just fake and not natural. Also, depending on the shape of your face, you don't want to bring the bronzer all the way up here because it could close you off and cause your forehead to look a lot smaller than it is and not proportionate to the rest of your face. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a shadow, which is going to create the illusion of a smaller forehead. It just depends on what shape face you have. So now that I have applied my contour, I'm going to take the same powder that I used underneath my eyes and I'm going to take it on a Morphe E47 brush, and I'm just going to carve out where I created my contour. You can also use a beauty blender for this, but this brush has more precision for me. Also, you can pull it down. So while that is sitting, I'm going to go in with my MAC Medium Deep Mineralized Skin Finish on a Morphe M530. And I'm just going to use it to warm up my skin. So I'm just going to tap that in as well. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to take the same fluffy brush that I used to wipe off my powder under my eyes, and I'm just going to rub that or brush that into where I applied my contour. So now that that's done, I'm going to go in with blush, and I'm going to use the same brush that I used to contour, which is the Morphe M530 brush. I have two of them. And I'm going to go in with that same blush bar that I used by Benefit, and I'm going to go in with Galifornia. I feel like peachier colors really complement bronzier skin, so I usually stick with those. And I apply it to the apples of my cheeks, and sometimes depending on what look I'm going for, I'll bring it up. But today I just want to focus it right there since I already have a lot going on with my eyes. I do the bridge of my nose, sometimes my forehead. And then if I feel like it looks too harsh, I'll just take that same brush and I will go over my whole entire face. And then last, I set my face with my Fix Plus by MAC. And then I'm going to go in with my Anastasia highlighter, which is the Amrezy collaboration. And I'm going to take that on my Morphe 510 brush. Okay. So I just hit the high points of my cheeks where the light would naturally hit it. And so what I do is I swipe down instead of swiping across, because I feel like that will make your line where you contoured and your line where you highlighted too harsh. I want to keep my face pretty matte, so I'm only going to highlight minimal areas. And then I'm going to take this same highlighter on a definer brush, and I'm going to use it to highlight my brow bone. So since I already have a lot going on with my eyes, I'm just going to go in with a neutral lip, and this is the Urban Decay lipstick in Fuel 2.0. And then I'm going to go in with the Naked Lip Gloss on top of it.